Welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, September 8th. The time is now 7:04 p.m. This is the East Lyme Board of Finance regularly scheduled meeting. I'd like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, I will move to delegations. We do have two attendees waiting, a Paul Maxfield and a Tim Uhas. If either of you would like to address the Board of Finance this evening, can you please raise your hand? Okay, I'll ask one more time. If you would like to address the board, you can raise your hand and I will bring you into the meeting. Yes, I see Tim Uhas has his hand raised. Can you hear us, Tim?
Hello.
Hi, Tim. This is
Yes,
Camille
ma'am.
Alberti. Can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to address the board this evening?
I am Tim Uhas. I'm a member of the American Legion, and I just wanted to, they asked me to come on to the Board of Finance meeting tonight. So I said, okay, I would.
Okay. Will you be, I see there's a funding request in tonight's agenda. Would you like the opportunity to speak during that time or perhaps right now? Is there something that you would like to say?
Not really. I just, they just asked me if I'd sit in on the meeting, and I said, yeah, yes, I would. I don't really, I've never been on one of these meetings, so I don't really know what goes on.
That's fine. We're happy to have you. I see that you are on our agenda this evening for an ARP appropriation request. So it's good to know that you're there. If we have a question, we can tap into you as a resource. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else? Paul, would you like to address the board this evening? If so, you can raise your hand. If not, we'll move on. Okay, thank you. With that, we'll get to approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of August 11th, 2021. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes? And I'll call for discussion afterwards.
I'll move to approve the regular meeting minutes for the Board of Finance for August 11th, 2021.
Thanks, Ann Chikello. Is there a second? Thanks, Rich Steele. Is there any discussion, corrections, questions, concerns with the minutes? Seeing no hands and hearing no one, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the August 11th regular meeting minutes, please say aye and raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Carries 600. Thank you.
I don't think I
I
was.
did, but I can't hear him good.
Oh, you were.
I don't know why.
Oh, you were
It's a different
absent.
meeting.
So was I. So I'll abstain. So motion is 402. Thanks, Peter. Reminder. 402. Okay. With that, we have Jeff Newton with us this evening to give us a report and perhaps an introduction on behalf of the Board of Education. Jeff?
Thanks, Camille. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. I first just want to take an opportunity to introduce our new Assistant Superintendent, Annalise Spaziano. Has joined us now. She's been with us since July 1st, taking over for Amy Drown, who you all know. And Annalise has really kind of jumped in and just taken the reins and has done a fabulous job. And I want an opportunity to introduce her. And Annalise, you want to say a few words or a word or two quick?
Sure. Hi, everybody. It's nice to meet you. I'm a Clinton resident, so not too far. And before coming to East Lyme, I served 22 years in Milford in various roles: teacher, building administrator, and instructional supervisor. So it's really exciting to be closer to home and in a community, you know, like Clinton. And when I wasn't, living in Clinton, I served on the Board of Education as well. So I know what it's like to be in public service. I appreciate all of you and the time and energy and effort that you put forth here on the Board of Finance for the town of East Lyme. And I'm really excited to be working with you as we enter the budget season this year. So.
Very good. Nice to meet you, Annalise. Welcome.
Thanks, Annalise. Appreciate it. And again, we're off to a great start and picking up right where we left off. So a couple updates I just wanted to provide for the Board of Finance. One in particular, you know, the start of our school year, we're off and running. You know, we started with kids on the 30th of August, and outside of having to close one day due to that storm we had last week, not our intention to close schools during the second week, but it had to happen given all the road conditions and closures. But we're doing well. We are still dealing with COVID cases, unfortunately, as you know, many districts are doing so. We are full in person. And you know, we're still communicating out, you know, cases that might occur, but we're doing it off of a tracking sheet off of our website. So we're not messaging parents every time we have a COVID case of a staff member or a student. So far, we've had 3 COVID cases since the start of the school year. Hopefully, again, that number is going to decline and we won't see those cases, you know, moving forward or rise, I should say. So we're keeping our fingers crossed there, but it's been a great start. I think kids are really happy to be back. They're in masks. We're gathering all our vaccination information on staff members for the governor's executive order. And so far the numbers are looking very good with, you know, East Lyme staff members that have been fully vaccinated. So that's a good sign. And we'll work through those that cannot get vaccinated or are not getting vaccinated, where they're having to test on a weekly basis per the governor's order, and that won't start until the end of the month. So just an update on the school year and our start. The other big piece that I wanted to make mention at our last Board of Education meeting on August 16th, I'm sure you've heard about the baseball field and discussions we've been having about the issues with the baseball field. There was talk back and forth about, you know, should we try and push and get a turf field, or should we, you know, just redo the, you know, the baseball field itself? And the outfield is a specific problem that we've had. So the Board of Ed, we had a study done on the field itself. A turf company had come in, did a study, gave us 2 scenarios. Option 1 was a reconstruction of the outfield, and option 2 was just a surface rehabilitation, they called it. So the Board of Ed studied and looked at the report in each option, and they decided and made a motion at the last meeting to go with the reconstruction of the baseball outfield. The cost, they put a limit, a ceiling on the cost of up to $175,000 for the project. But what we're planning to do is to take some of our ARP funds, cover other items in our operating budget, so then we free up some money to cover the cost of this outfield reconstruction. So we don't have to tax you know, the Board of Finance or the town for, you know, the cost. It will fix the problem permanently. The other option, the rehabilitation option, was just kind of a quick surface fix, which would have maybe lasted us a couple of years, 2 to 3 years. This gets us a permanent fix. What they do is they rip out the entire outfield, go down 10 to 12 inches, put it through a machine, fluff it out, add in material and sand, the right chemistry for what a field needs to drain. They'll add in irrigation as well. So the total cost was roughly $150,000, the estimate. The Board of Ed added a little bit more in for the irrigation piece and connecting to, you know, the water line as well. So the board fully supported that, and we're looking to hopefully maybe move forward in the fall. So I just want to make sure the Board of Finance was aware of that, and you heard that you know, from me that you know, that was the direction we were going. Rather than a turf field for $1 million, this is a much different cost. And I don't know, I personally love a baseball field with a real grass and not necessarily a turf field. So we're excited about that. One other just mention that I wanted to provide, and then happy to answer any questions, our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. We have had an audit done, and we're about to bring forth that audit report that was done by an outside vendor. That report will be at our next meeting, which is on the 13th, next Monday, this coming Monday. Everybody that I'm talking to, we're just making it very clear that, there's been a few people, maybe 3 or 4 individuals that have asked and inquired about critical race theory. And I just want to be clear, but I'm trying to talk to publicly, we are not doing critical race theory. We are not doing CRT. It's not in our curriculum. It's not in the state's curriculum either. So we are focusing on trying to provide a sense of belonging for kids. That's our focus in dealing with the issues such as the one we had last spring in the high school parking lot with one student writing a racial slur on another student's window. Those are the issues we're working to address through this audit process and our work with our committees. So just wanted to put that out there, publicly, because I think an individual had come to one of our town meetings and had shared some thoughts, and so we're still working through that, and that's where we're at. So, any questions at all that you might have? Any of those items?
I do. Hi,
Hey,
hi, Jeff. Hi. Very nice to meet Annalise, by the way. Welcome and enjoy your time here. Jeff, I just have a question about any additional special education funding through ARP through ESSER or anywhere else. Has there been any extra little amount, or are you still working with your same numbers?
We're still working with our same numbers
Okay.
that we have. Yes. So all of our funding has been allocated for. We've put in for. So we're still waiting for the final approval on ARP. Our ESSER is all set, but we're still waiting for ARP final approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking that just as the months go on and as these funds start to be appropriated and used, I know on town side, I think the plan is to sort of in a summary sort of fashion, show what the funding was that we got, where is it going, that kind of thing. So it's something that maybe, and I don't know how the rest of the board feels about this, I was thinking that maybe Mariana could summarize. At one point, she had actually done a summary, I think it was like heading into our budget season of then it was CARES Act, and we were just beginning with ARP funding. But a little summary, might be helpful as we go forward, and maybe for you all for your own budget season, but just thinking there. Thanks.
Absolutely. We've got a spreadsheet in which we can
Yeah.
happily share with you. So
Great.
definitely at the next meeting, I can bring that forward, or
Easy
I can pass it on to Camille so you can take a look at it as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Rich?
Yes,
You have a
Jeff.
question?
Hey,
Yes.
Rich.
Hi, how are you, Jeff?
Good.
And,
Good to see you.
welcome, Annalisa. Just a question about the funding for the baseball outfield. Will that impact some of the planned expenditures that you were using previously from the ARP and the ESSER grants?
The way we allocated the funds, we specifically took the 175 to cover the cost of an operating budget expense rather than something else. So, the money obviously could have been used for something else to cover over the next 3 years. But the Board of Ed felt that it would best be suited to get that problem fixed and get the problem fixed right away. And we had an opportunity to do so with the funding. So there was nothing that was planned for, Rich, that we cut out and use the funds, for the baseball field. So it was part of the process of putting the allocation together.
Right, and I would imagine that there were multiple bids on the project.
Well, we just have the study right now. So that's the process that's taking
Okay.
place next. Yeah, so the bidding process will be the next step.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And then a question about the DEI audit. I don't need to know details, but just kind of a 60,000-foot view of how it was conducted. Was it interviews, observations, surveys, all of the above? Or?
All of the above. Yes, It was a month-long process of all of the things you just mentioned. Parents, all stakeholders, and gathering feedback, focus groups as well. And the report was just put together, and the Equity Institute is coming to the board meeting to present that on Monday night. So if you're looking for something fun to do and you want to join us Monday night and listen in, you're more than welcome to do so.
Okay, will they have a slide deck that is able to be shared?
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely. Yep. And
Thank
the report too, Rich, will be public. So I'm happy to, to share the report as well after Monday night.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
Thanks, Rich. That was my question as well. I wanted to know if the DEI audit report would be made available to the public. But is it in a draft format, Jeff, that has to then be formalized after the 9/13 meeting?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not public right now until it goes into the, presented to the board. And so after Monday night, it becomes a, public document that evening. And then, Tuesday morning, I'm happy. We'll put it on our website. I'm happy to send a copy to you, Camille. So you can
Okay.
share it if you want. It's
And
pretty
did
lengthy.
And what about the raw data that was used to, I'm assuming that it's going to be language in the final audit report based on the responses from the questionnaires, and would any raw data be available? For example, would we be able to see somewhere the nature of the questions that were being asked?
Yeah, we have the questionnaires. So we're happy we can pull those. We've shared those with some parents that have requested them. So I have the questions. I don't have any specific, raw data, but not something that we probably couldn't ask for. And it probably will come up Monday night
Okay.
as well and be asked for. So we could definitely share if something comes forward. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just a copy of the original questionnaire, so that I think that would help folks understand the recommendation. I'm assuming that there's recommendations associated with the final report. So it might just bring some context to that.
Yeah, and they vary some. I mean, we went from, third grade students up to, 12th grade students, family members. So it does vary a little bit, but so we can pull from the Institute, and happy to share those.
And will that be an in-person meeting, a hybrid meeting on Monday?
Yeah, we're still in person, but we are Zooming as well. So
Okay.
you can do either. We're
Okay.
obviously trying to keep our numbers limited in the board meeting room. So I prefer, if you'd like to join us via Zoom.
Very
to
good.
listen. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions for the superintendent? Okay, again, welcome, Annalise. We will see you at future meetings, I'm sure. Thanks, Jeff.
Good to see you all. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
You
Thanks,
too.
everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay. With that, I don't see that we have the first selectman with us this evening. Oh, here, he just popped up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been here since the beginning.
Okay, Mark,
I'll comment on the storm. Since we've met, we had two storms, right? One hurricane that's supposed to wipe out the East Coast that was a dud by 2 o'clock that afternoon. And then this rainstorm that was going to be a significant rainstorm, which wiped us out. We had some significant damage in town. I credit wholeheartedly the Public Works crew, their leadership, and also every guy on the trucks and out there from the middle of the night all the way through the next day. We got a lot of repairs done. There was a lot of flooding from storm drainage and just streams overflowing and neighborhoods that were cut off. But we did everything we could to alleviate the issues as soon as possible. Again, our first responders, our public works crews did an amazing job of getting people back on their feet. And though we did lose a day of school, it was only a day of school. It was only one day. That's really all I have tonight. I'm going to leave it short so that we can get to the heart of the matter, which is, obviously ARP funding, which I'm sure we'll have some good discussion on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Does anybody have any questions for the first selectman before we move on? Okay. With that, we'll move on to the finance director, Anna Johnson.
Good evening. Today, I did update the unassigned fund balance report for the year ended 6/30/21, 6/30/21, I'm sorry. And so I had been estimating, and it's about $190,000 greater than my previous estimates had been. The revenue number that you see, the 76.7 million, That's pretty much the true number, what it's going to be. There may be a couple of receivables that are out there that I haven't booked yet, but it's relatively completed. The expenditures, all that should be charged are completed, unless somehow, as I'm going through everything to get ready for audit, I find something that needs to be adjusted. And so with that said, the fund balance would be up to 12.2%. The previous estimate was simply 12%. So I think we've had two really great banner years with our year ends, and so this is another one for us. I don't know if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask.
Any questions for the finance director on the finance packet we received?
And I'll just comment, so at the end of this month, I'm probably going into next month, I would give you a final 6/30 21 expenditure report, revenue report, and also a list of what the outstanding encumbrances were at year end. I know the board has liked having that in the past, so I can get those reports for you for the October meeting. You have the summary for the month of August, and our revenues are pretty much in line with what our our historical trends have been at the end of August. I will point out that building permits, last month they were a little low, so at the end of July they were a little low, so it kind of picked up a bit in August, so we're pretty much right on par where we should be if we were collecting 1/12 of our projection a month. Conveyance taxes, once again, we're doing very well. We're already at 40% of what we projected for the year, and hopefully that will continue. One of the other accounts that I like to keep looking at are the ones that we have six-figure projections on. So with that said, town clerk's fees, that's going on target. Landfill deposits, a little under, but needless to say, that's still tracking well. And then I'll also point out that the insurance reimbursement that we received this year from KERMA was much greater than it was, in the past year. That's a tough one to project because they won't, when I contact them, they will not provide me with an estimate because they're not sure what the distribution will be. So this time, we're going to have a surplus there. And then I don't know if anyone has any questions on the expenditure reports.
Any questions for the finance director? Okay, and move along.
Yeah, just on the expenditures, the police overtime, is that within the expectations, the 21,000, 21,800?
He's at 18%, so tracking on spending 1/12 every month, he would be at 16.6. So I think that's indicating it's being managed very well.
It is, okay, yeah. Okay, thank you.
And then I did also include in your package, I gave you the audit management letter, corrective action plan. And I did put more dates in for, target dates to get items completed. I did want to point out that Mariana Stevens and I will be meeting on the 21st. We're going to be discussing the internal service fund and coming up with a plan to, eliminate that balance, over a few years. And then the other thing that we will discuss is also the comment relative to the fraud risk assessment. I did have some discussion with the auditor on that particular, recommendation. And I asked if there were any communities that, audit engagements that he works on that they actually have something in place so that it would be a place for us to start. And he said, to be honest with you, none of my clients have any, currently have anything in place. we put this comment in you know, in everyone's management letter, and it's more for engaging us in discussion, to get us talking about, you know, get us in discussion about the issue. So, you know, I just wanted to mention that to the board.
Which
And
item number was that, Hannah?
so it's item number 13, the fraud risk assessment and anonymous fraud tip hotline.
So we could be leaders in our community on this one.
Well, that's possible, but like I said, I'm going to have some, you know, discussion with Mariana on it when we meet on the 21st. So those are just a couple of things that I wanted to point out for you this evening. If anyone has any questions.
Hannah, I am interested in an update on the software system, where we are in the project life cycle.
Okay, good question. So we really got delayed in kicking it off because of, you know, the COVID situation. And so at this point, we are, Mariana and I have been working, and we are looking for a target date of July 1st of 2022 to make the conversion.
The cutover.
Yes.
So where are we currently? Are we purchased the software? Do we have?
Correct. Correct. And so we've been working on getting the chart of accounts established, and then we had meetings with the Munis folks to talk about the various modules. For example, general ledger, cash receipts, and accounts payable. And so basically what we do is we talk about all the processes that are in place with our current software, and then there's another tab and we discuss how it's going to work in the Munis software. So doing the two sides of it, if you will, because as we get to implementation and getting everything set up in Munis, they want to try to replicate for us our processes as much as possible. There is, like, one of the things that's going to change is Munis actually has a monthly closing process. And so so it operates on 13 different cycles. And so the 13th cycle is the cycle that allows you to work in 2 different fiscal years. And so, like, every month we're going to have to go through what they call a soft close. So the way that's going to be more beneficial is it's going to get people that have to process transactions to do it more timely. Like some people, we do the bank rec every month, and like it comes to June and they still haven't done transactions that were from the previous July. They're slow in getting them done. So now they're going to have to really, get them done more timely. And what I've actually done is I put together a schedule. And so it looks at like each month, and it talks about when we would like to have the transactions processed by. So in other words, for example, if we're in July, we want all transactions for July processed by August 15th. And then that's about the time that we have all the bank statements in, so we can begin the process to do bank reconciliations. And then we set up a date. You need to have all of anything that shows up on that July bank rec processed by, I believe it's September 15th, because that's when we'll be doing the August, because there's always a lag. So it's trying to get everyone trained now, so that'll be one less thing we have to deal with implementation. Plus, it's really going to be more, it's going to be more beneficial because it's going to keep keep everything updated better, and really as it should be. So that's something that I was really pleased to see. So these are the pieces that are going first, and then we have 2 other components, one being payroll and the HR components, and then the utility billing. So after we get, a little bit further along in what they call the general ledger process, we'll go to probably start the payroll process and then, get started the same way. So we have like a series of meetings like every month now through the rest of the fiscal year to get everything up and running. So once we go through like and get everything all set up and established, then we'll start with training the end users.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Anna. That's a lot of detail, so thank you for that. But I think I'll probably follow up with you outside of this meeting, because I don't want to take too much time up for that. So if there's no other questions for Anna on the financials. Yes, Ann Chikello?
So Anna, just a quick question on the software, capital asset software. Does that cover just the town, or is that the town and the Board of Education?
Are you talking about the management comment?
Yeah, you're talking about the upgrading them to Munis.
Yeah, right. So, what that's talking about is we need a better, capital asset tracking software than we currently have. And that's something that Mariana and I are going to have to discuss on what the best methodology to move forward with would be. It makes sense to have everything in the same, all entered in the same system. So we can probably do something where it can be shared between the two sides, and the board can be responsible for entering their information, and then the town entering our information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? There's no more questions. We can move on to new business. A special appropriation in the amount of $133,553 from the American Rescue Plan funds. First up is a $54,638 appropriation request from Ledge Light Health District. Are all the board members familiar with what Ledge Light Health District is? Yeah. Okay, very good. All right, Mark, will you be speaking?
Yes, of
to
course.
This appropriation?
To all of them tonight, actually.
Okay.
So yeah, Ledge Light asked its membership towns, and if you got a chance to read the day this morning or yesterday, they did have an article on this subject. I'm not sure that it was dead on accurate. There are more member towns than were listed in the paper, for example. But Ledge Light is not getting any ARP funding directly, but they support each and every town and really are our primary source. They were our primary source during the initial COVID, during this phase of the COVID, and any future pandemic protocols and requirements. So they had asked each town to consider a 1% assessment from their funds to Ledge Light. There was a unanimous result in that support from the member towns. Many of the towns have already gone through and processed that request. Some towns are still in this process, which is the approval process. Of course, I don't have the authority. When I voted to the affirmative, of course, I voted that I would support that measure, not that I could approve that measure. We know that, but I want to put that on the record. So the $54,638 is exactly 1%. There's probably no greater source during the last 18 months of COVID than Steve Mansfield and his team, who I'm sure, because you are town leaders, I'm sure you are well aware of what their part in this was and will continue to be. So they are getting on board with hiring extra people to get them through this, very specific people on this. But this is what we'd like to do, is support that.
Any questions for the first selectman on this appropriation request? Mark, I have just a couple of questions for you. The dedicated mass vaccination vehicle, is that going to be used for other purposes besides COVID? So for example, assuming that COVID is eradicated, maybe in the next couple of years, would that be used as a flu clinic or something, or?
Exactly. They would repurpose it, I'm sure. I can't answer for Steve, or don't forget, he works for a board of directors that he wouldn't want to answer on their behalf, just like I wouldn't want to answer for Steve. But they have limited assets and resources, so I'm sure they would repurpose that. But I think we're in a state now where we need to be prepared for this to be an ongoing. We know the story. This is going to be an ongoing story for quite some time. Hopefully not our entire lifetime, but quite some time.
Now, I'm assuming that the amount that is being requested for the additional personnel is for a specified period of time. Do we know, for example, if those positions were to continue beyond the funding period, how that would affect our per capita rate? So currently, in other words, this year in our budget, we're paying $7.59 per capita in our town. It comes up to approximately about $140,000. Do you know how that would differ in the future if these positions were to continue?
I couldn't answer that. That's 5 or 6 years from now. I'll tell you that they have a big staff, and there's a lot of there's a revolving door there, if you will, positions, and I specifically, I don't know who they're hiring. And yes, I would think that if the need isn't there, they would repurpose again that position, that funding, or eliminate that funding. We've seen Legislative Health District. I'll speak to their affordability. We've seen them hold the line costs. Out of my 7 years, probably 5 of them have been flat budgets. They do remarkable with the resources they get and with the available grant funding that's out there. They do a terrific job. What we get for our money is significant compared to what we were getting when we were running our own health district in town. And this is evident. If we had a sanitarian downstairs approving septic systems, which is really all, no offense. He did restaurants and all those things too. But, now we have a pandemic and we had a whole health district that was point on 24/7. And they will adjust. They're light on their feet. I wouldn't suspect our fees to go up because they got burdened with keeping on people that aren't needed. Let's put it that way.
No, I agree. They do a spectacular job, and I think it's a really good regional solution, and something that I've always really thought was a good move on our part to move away from having that employee within our own rank. I suppose if anybody on our board or anybody listening on the call would like additional information on this, I believe the board of directors, the members from our town are Ken Sister and Sue Graham. Is that correct, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody has any questions, those are 2 people that we could reach out to for further information. All right, thanks. Now, my understanding is that we are going to take a vote on the entire appropriation, not on each individual appropriation, correct?
That's your call, Madam Chair. It is one lump sum. The motion is typically one lump, but if you choose to amend that and change some figures, obviously you can't go up, you can go down. It's up to you, however you run this, but I would listen to it all first.
Okay.
But whatever.
So if there's no further questions on the Legislative Health District, we can move on to the next item in the appropriation request, which is $25,000 for the East Lyme Giving Garden. I'll start this off by saying that I received a letter today from the folks at the Giving Garden. Unfortunately, they weren't able to join us this evening. They had a prior commitment. I'll read the short letter for the record. but I won't go into the detail justification of their request because that will be attached to this evening's minutes and it will be available for the public to read. But the short letter states, "Dear Board of Finance members, due to a longstanding scheduled commitment of our East Lyme Giving Garden Board Retreat, we will be unable to attend the BOF meeting this Wednesday, 9/8, where a $25,000 portion of ARP funding to be allocated to the garden will be considered for your approval. We could not realize our many future plans without this vital source of funding. Although our short-term plan requires over $40,000 of funding, the ARP award will go a very long way to making this a reality. Attached are details of our intentions on how we plan to use the ARP funding if awarded. Feel free to contact any member of the board with questions. Please accept our sincere regrets in not showing our support in person. Thank you so much for your generosity. With gratitude, the East Lyme Giving Garden Board of Directors." That is the memo. We've had the justification in front of us now for a little while. Were there any questions that perhaps the first selectman can address? Anybody have any questions on this particular appropriation? I think-
I did
Yes,
have
Ann.
one. Yeah, Mark, you might or may not be able to answer this. I was just wondering about the partnership with the United Way that the organization has. And I guess it sounds like the United Way helps do the distribution of the food. So I was just wondering, it's both a town and seems like a regional effort here, the Giving Garden. So I was just wondering how all that is decided upon, just a question. But we don't have someone from the organization here, but they were at your Board of Selectmen meeting.
And I've been involved with the group from a higher position, and talking to them about what they're into. And the bottom line is they're growing as much food as they can possibly grow, and there's room for expansion. And really, their shortages are not just money; it's dirty hands. They got to get people involved. But they're doing a great job. Anything they grow is not, it's not a farm stand. They donate it to in one of the organizations. They might be tied into the United Way, but it's the truck. Where's the truck?
Is it Shoreline?
The Shoreline, thank you. The Shoreline soup kitchen and pantry, which serves, I think, 9 towns along the coast. And I know they get they are recipients of food here in East Lyme, as they do their food kitchen every giveaway every Thursday night at St. John's. I can't get into the heads of their board of governors, but I don't know why and which direction they send the food. They do it both locally here in East Lyme, but maybe on a regional basis as well. There's a lot of need out there. No matter what they grow, it'll never be enough, especially in this particular economy. But they're doing wonderful things. And initially, the request was, I believe, $15,000, and the Board of Selectmen bumped it up. We do have $5 million at the end of the day, and we're talking about growing fresh produce for sustainable, for people who are food insecure. There's not a bigger checkbox to check when it comes to this American Rescue Fund than food for people who need it.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's a clear, appropriate use and a much needed one. And it just a very exciting project, and I wish them well with it. And I'm happy to see, to be honest, that Board of Selectmen added the extra dollars because they had a list of definite needs there. So I think that'll help. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions on? Yes, John.
Mark, the last request is concerning a backup water supply.
And they say future plans include emergency tie-in to the town water supply. Do they need some kind of special permission for water and sewer to tie into the town water supply?
Yeah, they would. Well, they're on the water line, so they don't need special permission. They're already ticket holders, technically, although that is a rear lot and the church is technically the front lot. There's a technicality there. The bottom line is they have a lot of future plans, John, I like to tell you. I mean, you picked up this one, but there's this whole pavilion and learning center and trying to bring groups in to teach them about sustainability and all that. So there's a whole thing that can happen here, not just grow some lettuce. But you know, I'll speak to them as chairman of water and sewer. Certainly, you know, should they come to us, we'll hear their request. But I haven't got that request yet. I don't think they're in a position right now. I do know they have water. And they have a good water source right now.
So you have a well.
Yeah, and it's a good source. So it hasn't given them any problems yet, but if they're looking for a backup plan, we'll accommodate.
No, I just wondered down the road if we have a tight water supply for a drought or whatever, where are they going to be on the priority list?
Well, right. I mean, the good news is their backup plan really is the first plan, which is they have a well. Where the rest of us would be, you know, we haven't had a drought issue and a water restriction for as long as, well, it's 8-9 years since we've had the time.
No, just thinking down the road.
Yeah, exactly. And there'll be that issue again someday. Yeah. But they don't use a lot of water either. They've done a really good job of, you know, they don't just spray the water. They very, very micro manage the water drips onto the vegetables. So yeah, we'll look at that.
No, I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, John.
Peter?
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful, wonderful project, and I was really glad to be going over the material this afternoon. And I agree, it's a much needed. It's much needed. My question, and maybe I missed it in the material, and I'm not sure you can answer it, Mark, but is there some way that they can quantify how much food they're actually producing and how much they're actually donating to the United Way and all that? I'm just trying to get an idea of the sense with the dollars that we're putting in.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wish they were here tonight. They're not done with their first growing season. So
really?
Because this was kind of like the first real breakout year. And I think it is the first year. And they're doing a fall planting. And so really? I think at the end of this, I think Bruce Cohen and, you know, the John Fellow, who's their chair, will probably add it all up. And I think that's a great point, is we should get that update.
Yeah.
In the future. Yeah. But it was significant. It was.
So Peter, actually, I don't know if you opened up the email that I sent along today with the backup, the letter to the Board of Finance. So I think that answers some of your questions in that letter. You know, 3,000 pounds of produce have been donated to the United Way, which resulted in over 4,000 meals.
Okay.
That was,
I was just trying a dollar amount on that. I don't know if that's possible or not. And it's hard, but I probably should wait for the year to end and then figure that out. I mean, you know, but thank you. No, it's good. I support this. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, great.
I think it's wonderful.
Very good. Okay. Are we ready to move on to the Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments for $8,965?
Yeah, terrific. So I kind of wish the first item led to light in this Council of Governments, the COG, were back to back, because it's similar in nature. They're asking for an annual assessment that will add up to 1% over 6 years, roughly. I think their numbers are off by about, I think they're off by about $1,000. But so if you did 6 years, it's $53,790. They also, in discussion, as I'm obviously on the Council of Governments, we talked about what the need will be in years 3, 4, 5, and 6. If there will be if it would be necessary to ask for the towns for ARP money. So that's why we also did it on an annual basis rather than a lump sum. The Council of Governments, like Ledgelight, was instrumental and will continue to be in the recovery efforts of COVID. They've spearheaded, and whether not voluntarily either. Let me just say that the state kind of came down on them and said, "You shall be the recovery resource for your region." But they take it on. They take it on. They hosted weekly meetings during COVID, and it took them away from other work that they do, like planning and all the other things that they do in the region. And they're looking for that support, like Ledgelight. They didn't get it, or not, and nor are they eligible for any of the ARP funding. So I wholeheartedly support this. They've done amazing work. Again, they were instrumental in keeping us in touch. I mean, they were the vehicle that got us to Ledgelight. They hosted the meetings. They spent the resources. They're hosting the recovery meetings. There are 3 subcommittees centered on housing issues like rent control, like landlord issues, social services, which are in dire need now, and they are spearheading that and trying to get the need to the benefit. And there's another one that escapes me. Oh, economic recovery as well. The businesses, the tourism, all those things that come together that will eventually get us back to normal. So I wholeheartedly support this. And I do support the fact that this is being done on an annual basis. It is a voluntary assessment, but it was voted on in 22 out of the 22 towns and voted to support this and stand behind this. And we bring it to you for your approval.
I just have a quick question for Anna, perhaps. The $10,537 that we paid, what department does that hit in the budget?
114.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions on this appropriation request? If not, we'll move on to the next request from Save the River, Save the Hills, in the amount of $12,500.
The numbers have changed since initially we talked about this boat. I talked about it with Save the River, Save the Hills in a joint meeting with Waterford. The pump out boat is very, very important to the health of the river in our bay. Obviously, the pump out boat is a source for gray water and septic. Without that resource, people tend to just let it go into the river, and that has done significant damage over the years. So the pump out boat is very important. The Save the River, Save the Hills took it upon themselves years ago. Fred Grimsey, Waterford resident, but a proud supporter of the Oswegatchie Hills group and all that. He took it upon himself to get this program going. We have state grants that operate it annually. They need a new boat. 75% of it will be covered by the state. 25% will be covered by matching grant from the towns. Any additional money, because now they're looking at a 125 number, not a 100 number. Any difference will come through donations, and they have accounts and they have donations. We are being asked to fund 50% of $25,000. Waterford has already approved their $12,500, and we're asking you to do the same, $12,500. That will get this river a new pump out boat that is necessary.
Any questions on this appropriation request? I'm just a little confused on the numbers, Mark, because it looks like Save the River, Save the Hills was asking for $41,558 in the backup documentation. So I'm a little unclear on the 50% of 25. Where did the $25,000 number come from?
The $25,000 number came from the original boat price of 100,000. Of course, boats have gone up in price. They're going to cover the difference through their donations and membership.
So was there correspondence after July 28th to that effect? Or was that just a conversation you had with them?
The conversation we've agreed to fund 50% of 25,000. That was it, and they agreed to that, and Waterford agreed to that. So we don't want to pay more than our fair share.
No, I understand. I just want to make sure that we're funding enough so that they can actually get the boat. Because if they don't have enough and they don't get the boat, where's the money going then? But you're saying, just for the record, you have a verbal agreement with this group that says they can come up with the excess above 25,000
for the record
in
yes.
order to acquire this boat. Okay, thank
all
you.
All they're asking from the towns is 25,000.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, the numbers are a little screwy there.
Any other questions on this request? If not, we'll move on to $7,500 for the East Lyme Town Clerk.
The town clerk is here. The very popular town clerk, Karen Galbo, is here. Karen, do you want to go over this?
Sure. So last year I had done a project with some historic preservation money and grant money and got our land records online back to 1959. It just so happened the project was completed at the beginning of COVID, and it was very popular with our title searchers, our appraisers, and the general public. And so I am asking for $7,500 to put additional years up of our land records online. We have a website called US Land Records. It is facilitated through our land record company Avenue, and that is where they go. And that's what the money is for.
Karen, what would the amount be if you were to go back as far as 1839?
That's a question the Board of Selectmen asked last week, and I'm in the process of getting a quote on that.
So I guess, does it make sense to, this is just a question for the, our Board of Finance members, but I'm wondering if it makes sense to maybe hold back on this until we get that total figure, because if we're going to fund this from ARP, I'd rather give it one, I mean, I think it's a worthwhile project, no doubt about it. And I'd like to see it get done all at once. So Mark, are you intending to come back to the Board of Finance next month with another series of requests?
Yes, there's several other items, and part of Karen's homework from the Board of Selectmen last night was to give us the difference in whether that would be worth it or not. And we think it's a worthwhile project. Our intention was to keep it on the agenda, move it forward, but she won't go into contract until we get all the funding together, whether we do both of these items or just this one particular one that's being talked about tonight. So either way, it doesn't put us behind if you strike it, or we can at least get this one going, knowing that we might have another piece next month. Either
Okay,
way.
Ann Chikello?
How far back, Karen, would $7,500 let you go? Like how many years? Do you have any idea?
I don't. It all depends on the amount of documents that were recorded in that year, because it's a per document thing. So.
Okay.
And do you have any estimate at all about how far it would to go back to, what is it? Whatever date I think that you're looking to get back to?
Right now we're back to 1959 and our land records go back to 1839. So according to the land record companies, they have 77 rolls of microfilm. So to be honest, I couldn't even imagine what the economy was doing in 1959, how many documents were being recorded on the land records. You know, it really all depends.
True.
So
Okay.
do you think you might have that information by mid-October, Karen?
I think I would, yes. They are in the process of doing it right now, and they're pretty swift on these things.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure they would like to get paid as well. All right, so that's something for this board to think about. Does it make sense to do this piecemeal, or should we just wait till we get a final estimate to do the whole job once and for all? So we don't, I mean, not that we're deciding that now, but certainly as we get through talking about all the items, we can revisit that. Are there any other questions on the project? Rich Steele?
Yes, I noticed, Karen, the last paragraph, you're talking about the rolling shelves. If, as Camille is suggesting, we kind of wait until you get a figure for taking the records back to 1859 or 1839, would it be possible to then kind of take in the rolling shelf figure and put that in as a total thing to get everything all done?
Truthfully, I don't know if those rolling shelves are something that would qualify. When I sent that email back in May, it was more of a wish, but I don't know if that would qualify under these funds.
We didn't think so.
Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't think so either.
Okay, strike that thought then. Thank you.
Mark, do we have an opinion from the attorneys on that particular one? I know we had like a 6-page letter or a couple of letters from the attorneys a couple of months ago when we were meeting in person. Do you recall if that was on that particular correspondence?
Yeah, we left it up to the committee, which is the Board of Selectmen, to make those determinations. We chose not to review every single time to the town attorneys. We're very confident that these items check the boxes required. We were pretty thorough about it, and we don't see anything controversial here at all.
And what does this one fall under? What category would you say?
Well, first of all, electronic access. So if the town hall is to be shut down again, people will have access to town records. That's most important. And then also access, paper-free access. So there's a hygiene issue as well as an efficiency issue when the town hall is closed. And, you know, it might be the way we all do business in the future, right? So,
That works for me. That
Yeah.
sounds good. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah,
Ann?
yeah, thanks, Camille. Karen, how would a process of completing this look to you if part of it was done at one time or the whole thing was done over a stretch of time? Is there, you know, I mean, what is your own involvement in the office? I know that the company that you've hired, you know, does the uploading for you, but is it easier for you to do this piecemeal or in one fell swoop, or is it, you know, or is that not really a question because it has to happen over time? Just getting a sense of what your participation is and your time frame is.
My participation is nothing in this project, to be honest. They have the microfilm there. They would have to go retrieve the microfilm, they index the documents and upload the images, which they already obviously have the images. So it's really just, I do know it is a big project. When I talked to our representative the other day and emailed with him a little bit, he did say it, you know, it's not a quick project, it's a big project, but my involvement is nothing. He did say that there's only 20 other towns in the Northeast that are all the way back to the very beginning. He actually had a name for it. I think it was like the Book One Club, he called it. And they would, you know, I guess it's a big deal, so. But yeah.
Yeah, thanks. And this person that you'd spoken to, did they give you a sense of their own time frame?
No, nope.
Doing this one doing $7,500 worth of whatever. Okay.
Oh, the 7,500, that would probably just be months. But the going back to 1839 would probably be a year.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, any further questions on that one? Okay, then we should move on to the $13,950 appropriation request for the American Legion.
Yes, and I think Commander Uhas was here earlier voicing his support. And listen, we know the VFW and the American Legion, and they have a VFW obviously has a request coming up next. Do so much for our veterans, to support the veterans. They're there for them. The need is obvious, and the qualifications to the ARP money is obvious as well, as they are a public outreach. It's really one of the few social services we actually have in town. They do quite a bit. So they are asking very specifically. They lost their steam boiler. They lost their furnace over the last couple of weeks. They need $8,950 to fix that. And their ice machine, they're a full function hall. They donate that hall quite a bit to a lot of fundraisers in town. But, you know, a lot of their money comes from the bar and the restaurant side of things. You know, we have the National Guard post, which is walking distance to the American Legion, and they generate a lot of their income that way. So they have a lot of need. As you see, they had revenue dropped significantly last year, of course, and I'm sure the expenses were down too, but they're not asking for all that. They're just asking, give us what we need to get back on our feet, and we'll go do the rest of the work ourselves. And I commend them for that. That's a can-do attitude. And they're asking for the town's support for this $13,950.
So would this be better categorized as lost revenue then? I mean, I know.
We're not doing lost revenue. This is more of business economic business interruption. Sure, we're not trying to replace their revenue. That's a whole different category. And Ann and I have talked at length on that. I'm not sure we want to go down that road ever, because it'll be difficult. But this is like, you know, us going downtown and supporting a business, and we have every right to do that with this COVID money. This is a way of doing that. These are volunteer organizations that do so much, and we want to support their business enterprise. So yeah, I think that's where we categorize that.
Okay. Any questions about the American Legion request? If there are none, we'll move on to the $9,000 appropriation request for the VFW.
Yeah, so the VFW is asking for $9,000 in impact aid. Again, we're not calling it lost revenue. We're calling it impact. That's a great word for it, impact aid. Where they're looking for support so they can go out and support. You see all the things that they are listing that they do. They're not asking for all that money. They're asking again for impact aid so they can get back up on their feet, so they can go out and raise this money and support their sailors and servicemen and families, and do all the things in the community that they've been accustomed to doing. They're looking for the very same.
So if we add up all of those figures, it totals 12,500, but they're only looking for 9 to sort of replenish what they had to give during the difficult time. Any questions? Anne, did you have your hand up, Santor? No? Okay. Any questions on this? If not, we'll move on to the last one, New London Homeless Hospitality Center.
Again, no brainer to check this box off, right? These folks are our homeless shelter. There are, among their population, among their census, there are people from East Lyme in that homeless shelter, if not always, certainly from time to time. We generously give through our aid, our budget, that we do give donations to different organizations. We give to them. They're asking for a couple thousand more. I think it's the least we could do. I think their needs are going to be great, and I would anticipate larger donations and requests coming down the line. But as we did with most of these, again, these are all starters. I mean, I would envision that in the next couple of years, the Board of Selectmen and the town might give much more to the East Lyme Giving Garden, for example. They have needs, they want to grow. We might give more money in the future. But this is another one. This is an organization that is going to struggle because people are struggling, and they've asked for a couple $1,000s more. I can't imagine not doing something like that.
They've been at a level funding of $3,000 also for a number of years. This is the first time. Well, this is the first time that they're asking for an additional 2,000. But so you're saying that's not a one-time request?
It is, well,
given the immediate need, you think it'll be continual?
It's a request tonight. It will be up to the people who make those decisions in the future to decide whether we should give more or not. I mean, these are all volunteer. This one in particular is a volunteer contribution. We are not charged a per capita like we are with some organizations. This is just, we give to Safe Futures, that. We give to many organizations. This is another one of those organizations we give to. They're asking, hey, you have ARP money. We need it. Could you?
Right. Okay. Any questions on this one? Okay, so we've gone pretty thoroughly through each one of these appropriation requests. Now we would reach the point where I would ask if anybody has any general questions about this entire package, or where we go from here. What can we expect going forward? For example, I'll just start it off. I'm sorry that I had to miss the last Board of Finance meeting, but I believe Ann Chikello had asked you, Mark, if there would be some sort of comprehensive plan. And I know that you've mentioned in the past that you have an entire booklet of requests. And I'm just wondering, maybe you could kind of set the stage for us in terms of what we can expect in the next couple of months.
We've knocked down that list quite a bit. I mean, what is there, 8 on here tonight, 9? And I think we had 7 or 8 last go around. There's a couple, of course, we have the town clerk's issue. We have Karen share with a significant conversation about the space that they're in, which is town space, but they're looking for an upgrade to their space. And there may have been maybe a couple other issues in town. There is a provision that was loosened up about public safety and public safety personnel. And equipment and personnel. So it's a discussion the Board of Selectmen will have in October. I'll tell you, there won't be any in November. I don't think it would be appropriate once we get past election season. I think that will be certainly a lame duck month for me. And I just don't think at that point, at that stage where people are shuffling around, that we need to be dealing with this. I think we will leave that for the next administration. But there are some items that we'll clean up in October. I think we've checked off, and we will continue to check off the immediate needs. But again, we're scratching the surface here. Where we received what, $2.7 million, and this is a couple $100,000 request. This is a $133,000 request, and I think the last one was under 200,000. So again, little coinage right now, but I think the next administration will have to roll up their sleeves and really talk about how we're going to spend this money and invest it wisely to enhance COVID recovery and sustainability.
Okay, so maybe next month there will be a few little odds and ends that are coming back to us. I did listen to part of the Board of Selectmen meeting about the whole Karen share appropriation request. So my understanding is they're coming back to you next month with more detailed information.
Yeah, we're gonna tour their facility and also talk to Public Works about what we can do in-house versus outside, and also if it's worth putting money into that building or not, or if we might have something else for them. We have a conversation on that. There is a subcommittee or selectmen typically meet in small groups talking about different issues. I can't tell you that it will be a small amount or a big amount. No amount has been decided yet. So I don't want to set an expectation that I don't deliver on, or I set it too low or too high. So let's, I'll know probably more in the next week or so what the package will be as we move it to, I think it's an October 6th Board of Selectmen meeting.
Any other general questions for the first selectman? So are we ready to take a vote on this entire package? Is anybody concerned maybe about taking something off and waiting till next month? You just have, I guess I'm asking my fellow board members how you feel about perhaps postponing the town clerk's request until next month, until we have a clearer, more total picture, or do you want to do this piecemeal? Maybe if I could have a show of
I
hands.
think, I thought Karen Galbo said that if they get a 7,500, they're not going to go forward with that until they hear if they can get more money. Am I correct in what she said?
She won't sign a contract for $7,500 till we determine whether there's going to be a second round or not. And there'll be one contract, one package to be determined, the amount to be determined. The idea was to get this one approved, and yes, maybe piggyback it with the other one, and then she would go out and contract with for services to get the best deal for the town.
Well, I was going to ask, is there any way due to volume that she could get any kind of like discount, or is that not? I don't know how these companies work, these vendors.
I don't either, but that she's going back to the same vendor and saying we're looking at an expansion to the full amount. What would that price be versus this vice the 7,500? And she's going to have that package for us.
Okay,
So
thank
given
you.
that no contract would be signed until, I would just be in favor of postponing this until next month, until we have a more fuller picture of what's necessary. And I'd rather make one appropriation request for this project rather than lose kind of the tracking of it, so to speak, by spreading it over multiple meetings. So I don't know if anybody else feels the same way. Can I have a show of hands for those people that might prefer to postpone it until next month?
I could go either way, so I'm good.
I guess I'm just trying to get a feeling, because I would like to know how to make a motion tonight on these appropriation requests. We could do it in its entirety and take a vote, or we could modify the motion to exclude that with, in instructions to come back to us, or once they go back to the Board of Selectmen, or Karen Galbo goes back to the Board of Selectmen, gets the next step approved, then it would come to us again. So just to be clear, if it's not included tonight, it doesn't mean that we're saying no. It just means that we prefer to postpone it a month until we get a clearer picture of what the project involves. And if we have the funds now, it might make sense just to get this done all at once. So that would.
I think it's reasonable just to wait till we get the full price and then just take it from there.
I think we were all overwhelmed by the support of going back all the way. We started with the 7,500. It was a reasonable amount. And then we got talking at the Board of Selectmen, and Dan, who obviously does this for a living, going back on records and doing that kind of research, especially in town, mentioned how great it would be, and hey, we should do the whole thing. And that gained momentum. We did approve the 7,500 knowing that we weren't at the end of the road on this. You're hearing the full story right up front that, yeah, we're going to, and you're supporting it too. Let's face it, we're not going to get to this conversation a month from now and you guys going to go, nah, that's a dumb idea. So if you're supporting it now, Camille, yeah, if you scratch it, we understand it's without prejudice, and we're going to come back pretty strong with a package, and we don't think it's going to be, we're not going to go from 7,500 to 50,000, right? It's going to be still within a reasonable amount. So it makes sense.
And that will clear up more storage space also, won't it, once it gets.
No, we have to keep the records
You have to keep them.
in-house at that location, which,
At that
yeah.
location.
Oh, yeah.
They can't be stored off-site?
No,
Well, that's,
no.
What
Okay.
records were those?
The land records.
Oh, the land records, yeah,
Yeah.
in the vault, right?
Yeah, in the vault.
Mhm.
I was trying to,
Well,
Okay,
trying to
so,
make,
okay, so,
go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ann Santoro.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I mean, I could go either way on this, but it seems as though Karen is not pressed for time, getting this going, signing the contract. And then it would be good to know, are we then talking, $150,000 or 200,000, to do the whole job. So I think it's fine. We all seem to be in favor of the project. So I don't think the delay, is fatal in any way. It's a matter of a couple of weeks that, getting this moving. And she sounds like she's getting the detailed information from the vendors very soon. So I think it's fine to wait on it as well.
So, all of these appropriation requests are really well-founded. I mean, I support all of them. I think they're all great organizations. They do fine work. So I'm ready to entertain a motion if somebody else feels similarly, or if you want, would you like to do that, Ann? So if you take out the
Sure.
$7,500 of the total amount and you just don't read that amount for the East Lyme Town Clerk, I believe the total comes to $126,053.
Yep, yep, that's what I
would
got
be
too.
making. Okay, good. So would you like to make that motion, Ann?
Sure.
Chicolo?
I'll move to make a
33.
special,
126.33, not 53.
I got 53.
Me too, but
Hang
Where are you
on.
getting?
I have 53 as well.
hang on.
It's
Because
the-
the original number is 133,553.
Oh, I have 533 on mine.
I do too. I have 133,533 in the motion. That's on the back side of the document.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, I'm not even looking at the motion. I'm just
Yeah,
looking at the list.
So
Oh,
that's like, I would say that's a clerical error on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think it's supposed to be the 553.
Yeah, because, I see that
So-
here. The total is the 5.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, was there a motion somewhere? I didn't see the motion. Okay.
Yeah, it's under that total.
Yeah.
Like there's actually a total on that back side, Ann, and then there's the motion underneath it.
Oh,
It's
all right.
total.
I just have the numbers on the agenda. I'll just do it from that, I guess. So I don't see the other. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
I'll
don't have
move-
I don't have a motion either for that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I
On the packet that has the American Rescue Plan's distribution of funds,
Yeah,
it's the one that has details on each of the different funds that we're appropriating.
Oh,
Motion
just
at
that
the-
little sentence. I've got you,
Yeah,
just the little
yeah,
sentence below the
yeah.
total. All right, well,
Oh,
let
I
me
see it.
just, if you guys could just bear with me, I have a calculator here. I just want to make sure that these totals add up on the left-hand side.
okay.
Yeah, I added that up. I think they're good. Check it.
Yep, 133,553 is the correct total of those requests. You take out the 7,500 for the town clerk, it leaves us with $126,053.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay, I'll move to approve a special appropriation in the amount of $126,053 for the following items, with the source of funds being American Rescue Funds. $54,638 for Ledgelight Health District, $25,000 for the East Lyme Giving Garden, $8,965 for SECT Council of Government Voluntary Assessment, $12,500 for Save the River, Slave the Hills operations, scratch that, $13,950 for the American Legion, $9,000 for the VFW, $2,000 for New London Homeless Hospitality annual funding. A source of funds being the American Rescue Funds, and this requires a town meeting.
Nice job, Ann Chicallo. Was there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Rich Steele. I saw your hand first. So any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
6. Motion carries 600. Thank you. All right. With that, we're at 8:30. I believe there's just one more item on the agenda. And this would be a special appropriation from contingency for $7,500 for human resources. However, prior to discussing that, I see we need to go into executive session. So there are 2 attendees in the waiting room, and I will ask you to sign off, please, as this Board of Finance goes into executive session. Okay, very good. Now we are left with 9 panelists. Neil, Richard, Anna, John, Ann Chicallo, Ann Santoro, Karen Z, Mark, and Peter. Okay.
Who are you inviting, Camille, to join the board?
Is that Anna Johnson?
No, that's me. It's Karen. I'm asking.
Karen
you.
Z is asking that.
I
So,
think-
so Karen, you're typically not.
I don't fit
You're not.
in. You invite whoever else you want besides your 6.
So Anna Johnson, do we typically have Karen Z in on the executive session? I
No.
didn't think so because no notes are being taken.
No, I'll come back
so-
afterwards.
So do we make a motion to adjourn though? Are
You-
No, we make a
required to?
motion to go into executive session.
Thank you.
And,
Yeah.
and also you
And
need to
I
stop
think we need
recording
more.
during executive session.
Right, and Karen Z, when we're ready to bring you back in, I will text you, okay?
All right. Can you?
So if
move-
you could please, stand by your phone, we'll text you when we're done.
All right.
All right, thanks, Karen.
Who are you bringing in though? Are you bringing? You have to.
Mark and Anna, do you need to be on this?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay, so you're going into executive session at. Let me see here.
I would like to invite Anna Johnson into the executive session. So it would be the 6 Board of Finance members, Mark Nickerson and Anna Johnson.
Okay. Yep, you make the motion when you come out. When we come out, you call me back and I'll be there for the motion, okay?
Okay, very good,
Okay.
thanks. Okay, so I move to,
Wait a minute, I have to get out. Where am I again? Where's my
I make a
get out?
motion to move into executive session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Ann Chicallo. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. 0. Okay, very good. Okay, this is Camille Alberti. We have exited our executive session. The motion was made by myself, seconded by Ann Santoro at 8:54 p.m. Moving on to the next item on our agenda is new business C, special appropriation from contingency, $7,500 for human resources. There is a motion that was included in our packet. Can I get somebody to read the motion, please?
I'll move to approve a special appropriation and transfer in the amount of $7,500 from account number 01-01-120-200-500 contingency to account number 01-01-106-100-211 HR manager. Documentation was provided in the executive session.
Thanks, Ann Chicallo. Do I have a second?
I'll second, but my motion read 7,505. Is that correct?
I think it was supposed to be 7,500.
It was 7,505.
Oh, 505.
I would say on the agenda, yeah, that was, I just,
Oh, because the agenda said the 7,500, so I thought this was another typo. All right, do you want me to reread it then? Or we can just,
Yeah.
You could just say,
okay. I'll move to approve a special appropriation and transfer in the amount of $7,505 from account number 01-01-120-200-500 contingency to account number 01-01-106-100-211 HR manager, in accordance with documentation that was provided in executive session.
okay, thanks, Ann. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Ann Santoro. Is there any further discussion on this appropriation request this evening? Hearing no further discussion, I'll take a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Okay, the ayes have it, 600. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to old business. Is there any old business that a board member would like to discuss this evening? Or anybody? Okay, having no old business, we'll move on to public discussion of, let's see who's back in the attendee. So Mr. Santoro and Karen are back in. Mr. Santoro, if you'd like to address the board, you can raise your hand. Okay. Does not look like he wishes to address our board, so we will close out public discussion and move on to board comments. Does any member have a comment to make this evening?
Yeah, I do. I'm just glad we got through our appropriations, continuing appropriations for American Rescue Plan funds, and looking forward to more of them in a way in October and getting a good picture of things, you know. I think it's great. And such, you know, last batch and this batch, such worthwhile, you know, uses of the money. I'm very pleased with the way it's all gone. So, and that's it. And I hope that next month we can meet in person. You know, I'm missing the in-person thing and meetings, and particularly if things are continuing to kind of plateau and we follow the lead of the other boards. So that's it. Thanks.
Very good. All right, thanks, Ann Santoro. Anybody else? There's no other comments. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
Thanks, Ann Chicallo. Second. Thanks, Rich Steele. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, motion carries. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for all the hard work. Have a good night.
Thanks. You
Good
too.
Take care.
Right.